Howdy. I had a great conversation with David for the New School Free Press. I don't know if you saw
Yes,
that. Yeah.
yes.
I wanted to ask, when you're improvising, and David, maybe when you're songwriting, how do you stray away from like conventions? And when you're doing something like this, do you expect the players to like stay within the confines, or are you allowed to like free up?
That's, I believe, 3 questions, sir. I'm happy to take a shot at them. David.
I will reply relative to my own album. There's an album by The Vicar, which, when I made it, I remain convinced that I was making a perfectly sensible, perfectly normal pop album. To me, this was perfectly accessible. This is not intended to have anything odd about it, other than the fact it has no drums on, just because I don't hear music with drums. But other than that, it seemed to be a perfectly sensible album. And Jeremy Stacey, who, God bless him, is a big fan of this album, is pushing hard for me to do a second one, keeps saying, yes, because it's so weird, and the way you go about writing songs is so weird and so strange. And so in my case, I don't seek it out. I thought I was doing something entirely ordinary.
A characteristic of the master musician is that they can inhabit the moment as if for the first time. So you have a beginner with innocence. And then 50 years later, are you still innocent? There is the assumption of innocence within a context of experience, which is a capacity only of a very highly trained and experienced musician, conventionally referred to by the term master musician. Now, within the various incarnations of King Crimson, there are different approaches and different answers to these questions. The brief of the final incarnation of King Crimson was different to earlier incarnations. The brief of the final King Crimson was recapitulation and completion, and it was essentially addressing repertoire-based material. What I would do every morning was write a set list specifically for that day, so that when the team arrived at the venue, the set list was fresh for today. Any sequence moving through a sequence in a process, if one element changes, everything changes. Another way of how to engage with that is challenge. Now, had any of the musicians within that band shot off in a different direction, the prime rule is you follow the person leading. This was the assumption, for example, 1972-74. Whoever leads, the others follow. Now, King Crimson in 1973, Jamie'd gone. What we would do is play perhaps 20 minutes of music, maybe 30, and then we would improv. And Italian audiences, perhaps 5,000 to 10,000, would only give us 10 minutes, and then their attention would wander. And they would become restive. And if you've worked in front of 10,000 restive Italians who begin to pull out your power cables and police with machine guns mount the stage, you may think I'm exaggerating. You learn that your capacity for improvisation works within a series of contingencies. If you're working in the Jazz Cafe in London at the end of 1997 with Project One and Bill Bruford leading the way, then there was a convention that the others followed. Except on the third day, when Bill was still leading the way, everyone else simply stopped. I just throw a few words out there in terms of improvisation. Challenge, technique, experiencing, being open to the moment, trusting the musicians you're playing with, and sometimes you can trust the audience. And then we get up and fly. Thank you for your excellent questions.
Thank you, boys. Have a great rest of your trip.
Thank you.